This week, we brought you the story of Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. It's a small town with a dwindling population and an economy that's also in decline. But Spring Hill is not alone. Across the Atlantic province, efforts to promote immigration and attract new business have failed to lift the fortunes of small communities. Tonight, our Ross Lord brings us the story of Westville, another maritime community searching for answers.
Now that the historic town of Spring Hill has surrendered to a crushing debt load and shrinking population, the big question in small-town Nova Scotia is, who's next? The Nova Scotia government admits many other towns are in trouble.
There's probably 10 or 12 towns or municipalities that are challenged with their financial pressures.
In other words, they're at or near the brink of collapse, a condition familiar to Mayor Roger McKay. Since his town, Westville, Nova Scotia, flirted with the abyss a few years ago, he's been pushing to amalgamate with 5 nearby municipalities.
You've got a population of just a little over 45,000 people, and you put on top of that 41 elected officials, 5 CAOs, a town clerk. I mean, that's a lot of administration money there, and if it can be cut, we've got to do it.
Despite fears about what mergers would mean for police and fire protection, the idea is gaining traction.
I don't think the small towns can look after themselves. Like, they're getting into debt, there's winters plowing and stuff like that, they get into big debts, and how do you get out of it? Unless you raise the taxes. And now that people can't afford the taxes. So.
Small towns are doing what they can to keep the bill collectors happy. Things like buying second-hand snow plows or sharing the cost of building inspectors. But agreeing to mergers with their neighbors is still a tough sell.
Some people just don't want to lose their little stipends as a councillor.
But there's more urgency than ever. The largest local employer, Michelin, announced this week it's cutting 500 jobs, signaling more people moving away and less spending power for those who stay.
You look at the pulp and paper industry, which is a dying industry, and I mean, if we lose that in Pictou County, we might as well almost roll the streets up because, they're good paying jobs and they're hard to come by these days.
So far, the Nova Scotia government has resisted pressure to legislate small-town mergers. But unless the towns can do it themselves, the government might have no other choice. Ross Lord, Global News, Westville, Nova Scotia.